please. Santa, you're needed in human resources, please.
No. You got this, Petey. Come on now. Yes. I got it.
Hey, good job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, you got some
Huh?
stuff on your nose?
So, have you seen him?
No, it's my first day.
Yeah, mine too.
This may be the best day of my life.
I know. He just oozes kindness, you know? If he walked in here right now, I would totally turn into a snow puddle. They say that his eyes just radiate with love and candy, but mostly love.
Sure. They say that he makes you feel like you're the only person in the room.
Have you ever seen how the children's faces just light up when they see him?
The hope that he spreads? I can't hardly contain myself right now.
Can you imagine being friends with him?
I know. Sometimes there aren't enough words to express how amazing he is. We should celebrate him all year round. If it were up to me, we would. His love, his grace, coming to this earth to save us. Come on, guys. Let's go celebrate Jesus' birthday.
Just FYI, I was talking about Jesus the whole time.
Oh, I was too. I 100% was talking about Jesus.
Same page. Page.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you and welcome. Welcome to this Advent night of storytelling and song. We want to welcome our children and families from across the country who are joining us via live stream. And as a special thank you to members of our liturgy and mass ministries for their faithful service over these many years, we welcome all of you for your presence with us in this church this evening. It is a blessing to be with you all. You know, each of us has a remarkable story, uniquely ours. And all of us collectively are part of a truly great story, the greatest story ever told. It begins, as all great stories do, in a most unexpected way, in a most unexpected place. But hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. In order to properly set the stage for the telling of that story, let's consider two other stories first, both related to that story, the one that brings us together tonight, but each having its own voice, its own energy, its own color. The first one begins way back in the year 1818, when a roving band of actors was performing in towns throughout the Austrian Alps. On December 23rd, they arrived at Oberndorf, a village near Salzburg, where they were to reenact the story of Christ's birth in a small church of St. Nicholas. Unfortunately, the St. Nicholas's church organ wasn't working and would not be repaired before Christmas. Because the church organ was out of commission, the actors presented their drama in a private home. That Christmas presentation of the events of the first chapters of Matthew and Luke put Assistant Pastor Joseph Moore in a meditative mood. Instead of walking straight to his house that night, Moore took a longer way home. The longer path took him up over a hill overlooking the village. From that hilltop, Moore looked down on the peaceful, snow-covered village. Reveling in majestic silence of the wintry night, Moore gazed down at the Christmas card-like scene. His thoughts about the Christmas play he had just seen made him remember a poem he had written a couple of years before. That poem was about the night when angels announced the birth of the long-awaited Messiah to shepherds on the hillside. Moore decided those words might make a good carol for his congregation the following evening at their Christmas Eve service. The problem was, he didn't have any music to which that poem could be sung. So, the next day, Moore went to see the church organist, Franz Xavier Gruber. Gruber only had a few hours to come up with a melody. However, by that evening, Gruber had managed to compose a musical setting for the poem. It no longer mattered to Moore and Gruber that their church organ was inoperable. They now had a Christmas carol that could be sung without an organ. On Christmas Eve, the little Oberndorf congregation heard Gruber and Moore sing their new composition to the accompaniment of Gruber's guitar.
Noche de paz, noche de amor, todo duerme en derredor, entre los astros que espantan. brilla la estrella de
Over many generations, the composition evolved and was translated into over 300 languages with many different arrangements for various voices and ensembles. It has been sung in churches, in town squares, even on the battlefield during World War I, when during a temporary truce on Christmas Eve, soldiers sang carols from home. Silent Night by 1914, known around the world, was sung that night simultaneously in French, in German, and in English. We all know it. Let's all sing it together.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Run your virgin mother and child. Holy incest so tender and mild, sleeping in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly Silent night, holy night, shepherds square at the sun, glory streaming from heaven afar. Heavenly hosts sing hallelujah. Christ our Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born.
Way back in 1818, this classic hymn found life because the organ in the Church of St. Nicholas was inoperable. On this night, here at St. Mary Magdalene, our own organ is working just fine. Thank you both, Manuel and Mark. You know, not all the stories of the season start in such a gentle, calm, and bright way as did Silent Night. One of my very favorite Advent stories starts with a green creature who lived in a cave overlooking the town of Whoville. Yes, How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss is an Advent story. Advent comes from the Latin word adventus, which means coming or arrival. In order for something to arrive, it first has to be missing. As I tell this story, see if you can identify what was missing that then arrived. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, noise, noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who's roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. And they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Get up." And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were all dreaming with sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1, old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Whos' stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present: pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. He stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd been out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. "Why, my little sweet tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and he got her a drink and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log of their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the others Whose houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Whose mouses. It was 1:15, all the Whos still abed, all the Whos still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Whos, he was Grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Whos down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused And the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook when he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same.
Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.
Con mi burrito sabanero voy camino de Belén. Con mi burrito sabanero voy
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, every one to his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. The angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you was born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
And it came to pass, as the angels were gone away from them into heaven, the shepherds said one to another, Let us now go even unto Bethlehem, and see this thing which is come to pass, which the Lord hath made known unto us.
The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay, keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 Noel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east, beyond them far. And to the earth it gave a great light, And so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel. Noel, Noel. Born is the King of Israel. Noel, Noel. And by the light of the same star, 3 wise men came from the country far. To seek a king was their intent, and to follow the star wherever they went. Noel, 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 Noel. Then let us all with one accord sing praises to our heavenly Lord, that hath heaven and earth of none, and with his blood our life had bought. Noel, Noel. Born is the King of Israel. Noel, Noel. Born is the King of Israel. Noel, Noel,
We want to thank you all once again for joining us this evening. If this has stirred something in you, and I certainly hope it has, that spirit of Christmas, we want to invite you, all of you, those of you who are here in this church, those of you who are joining us via the internet, we want to invite you to join us for our Christmas celebrations on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. There is going to be something for everyone, so plan on joining us. Christmas Eve, 3 of the masses will be out in the beauty of our countryside here at St. Mary Magdalene. 3 outdoor masses beginning at 2 o'clock, a mass specifically for our senior citizens, but all, of course, are welcome. Our 4 o'clock mass, again outside, will be for our traditional children's mass. And then 6:30, again outside, will be a bilingual mass in Spanish and in English. And then we will move into the church for a 9 o'clock Spanish mass and midnight mass with our brass ensemble kicking off the midnight mass. And then on Christmas Day, our masses will be at 8 and 10 and 12. Come and join us. Come and feel the life of Jesus Christ born again in our lives and in our world. Why don't we all stand up and sing this hymn together?
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Próspero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Próspero año y felicidad. One last time, I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Now you guys. I wanna wish you a Merry. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad.
Thanks, Ocampo Brothers. Thanks to Mark Ayers. Thanks to our awesome tech team. Thanks to all of you who have joined us this evening, whether here or wherever you are. Christmas blessings to you all. We hope to see you soon. Keep that spirit alive in you. God bless and have a good night.